everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a good week. My name is Elizabeth Gaines, and I am an expert and a coach in burnout. So if you have a hole in your cup and you are feeling exhausted and drained and without purpose because of that hole, I want to help you make your cup whole again. So I have been there, and I was there for a really long time, and I want to help you get through that in a much more expedited way. Today, I want to talk about our fight, flight, or freeze response. So when we were living in caves and we faced a physical threat, our body, our nervous system, had three different responses to that. We would either fight it, we would run from it, or we would freeze in the hopes that the danger would just kind of pass us by. So when we now live in a world where our brains cannot distinguish between emotional threats and physical threats, so our natural inclination to either fight, flight, or freeze is going to apply to emotions, to stress, to everything. So today I want to talk about the freeze response. And how the freeze response can cause problems for us down the line if we are freezers. And I am a hardcore freezer, so I'm just going to call us freezers from now on. I am a hardcore freezer, so I get you. I understand the freeze response. So let's just talk about it physically for a second. So in the freeze response, when there is a physical threat to your health, wealth, and well-being. Let's say that there's a tiger walking through the woods. You can fight that tiger. It's probably not going to go well. You can run from that tiger, but he can run faster than you. That's probably not going to go well either. So our next best response is the freeze response, so that we can just be still enough and quiet enough that that tiger is just going to walk right past us. So when that becomes our preferred response, the freeze response, that kind of gets written into the whole body. And this happens in childhood, and it usually happens when we are in an environment with a repeated stressor. So for example, if there is sexual abuse happening in the household, like I can't run from that and I can't fight it, so chances are I'm just going to freeze and try to live through it that way. If I have a parent who is absent or neglectful, or perhaps a substance abuser, or is anxious themselves or depressed, I can't run from that and I can't fight it, so the chances are I'm going to become a freezer. Now, since we cannot tell the difference between physical threats and emotional threats, and we are faced with emotional stressors all day, every day, if we are freezers, and that is what is written into our body, then we are going to hold all of that. So the fighters get to fight against that, and the runners get to outrun that, but the freezers hold it. They hold it. And this shows up for us in so many ways, right? Like if I'm a freezer, I'm going to not be able to forget my past experiences very quickly. Those things are going to stay with me. I'm going to have a hard time forgiving my partner for things because I'm going to remember every single thing that they did. I'm not going to let that go. I'm going to have a hard time letting go of my own trauma because it's just going to be right there for me. I'm going to have a hard time healing. I'm going to be a very slow healer. I'm going to have a hard time getting over sickness and injury and cuts and bruises and things like that, because freezers don't allow that energy to move through. Freezers hold it. So with the freeze response, what happens is, if we're in the middle of a painful stimulus, like an emotionally painful stimulus, and this is happening over and over and over again for us, we get to our limit where we can hold no more pain. And then we say, okay, well, my response is to freeze. So what do I have to cut out of my emotional life to make room for more pain? Because I gotta hold the pain. I can't do anything else with it. I can't fight it and I can't run from it. I have to hold it, and I'm running out of space. So what do? And that's when we start getting when we can't remember things long term, when we can't feel joy in the moment, we can't be present, but there's no room for anything because we're having to cut out those things that are dead weight in order to make more room to hold more pain. It's the same when we're in an environment with constant stressors. So traffic, email, whatever it is, fighting with our partners, whatever those stressors are, we're going to hold them. We're going to hold them. And so we're going to cut out everything that's taking up space that we need to hold all of those stressors. That's our programming as freezers. And that's where it starts to become problematic in our, outside of our childhood, in our adult lives, when we cannot move past things. Because energy and emotions are energy, and physical healing is energy, sickness is energy, all that is energy. Energy is meant to move. The universe is not the same in any given nanosecond, right? If you break it down, like the universe has fundamentally changed from when I started the sentence to when the sentence ends, right? That is the motion of energy. Energy is meant to move, and it takes with it the things that need to go, and it leaves behind the things that need to stay, but it has to move. And so what happens with us as freezers that doesn't happen with the fighters and it doesn't happen with the runners is that we defy nature by holding that energy still. We don't allow it to move. We keep it frozen. We hold it inside of us. And what happens when energy is not allowed to move is that it decays. And so we end up becoming containers of decaying energy. And then all we're doing is holding decay, and we're dropping out all of the space for being present, for holding joy, for having new experiences, for creating new things, for having new ideas, for generating new thoughts, for meeting new people, because we're trying to hold this decaying energy. So that's where for us freezers, we have to work on consciously understanding that that's what's happening to us. In an environment, and in a work environment, for example, a fighter is going to have a much easier time standing up for themselves, right? Because they get disrespected, they're going to speak. That's fight. That is a fight response. But for us freezers, we're going to stuff that down, and we're going to not speak up. And then that's going to mirror itself in other places in our lives. So that's just all of this energy that we're holding, and we're not allowing it to move. So we are acting against nature. So I want to tell you, all of you freezers out there, because I am one of you, and that is my tendency, is that we can rewrite this biological programming. This does not have to be our story for the rest of our lives. We can move past freeze as our default response. But the first step to that is recognizing that that is what's happening. So I want you to take some time today, if this sounds like you, to sit and kind of think about where you're freezing and how that response shows up for you. Excuse me. I think it's less important for you to spend your time figuring out where it came from, because we don't need to heal the original wound to heal the manifestation of the wound, right? We just need to figure out how freeze is showing up for us so that we can then create some strategies to counterbalance that. And if you would like to talk to me more about this, I am actively interviewing for 10 slots for my upcoming 8-week online program and interactive learning community with a group coaching component. So if you like what I have to say and you resonate with this and you feel like you're a freezer and you want more information, please reach out to me and I would love to talk to you. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Wednesday.